Hi, I'm David Orozco. I'm passionate about nutrition, fitness, and food. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, and along with my wife, Trisha, we own TD Wellness, a company dedicated to helping people live healthier lives. Today, thanks to Ingles, I'm going to cook with you. I'm going to show you how to bring some nutritious and delicious meals to your kitchen table. Let's get started. Today, we're starting out at Ingles, getting the ingredients to make my turkey chili, along with sautéed Brussels sprouts and mashed butternut squash. For a full list of all the ingredients, check out the shopping list underneath the video player. You can print the list and take it with you or pull it up on your phone when you're at the store. Now let's get cooking. Alright, so here we are. We're going to get started on some turkey chili. One of the things that I like to get is a ground white or ground breast turkey versus the basic ground turkey because it's going to be leaner in fat. Otherwise, it's no different than using ground beef. So what we're trying to do is get this a little bit healthier, try to reduce the fat, make it heart healthy. So we're going to go ahead and throw this turkey into a nice pot. All right, so just going to let that brown up. It'll probably stick to your pot. That's actually good. We want it to stick to the pot. Now, it's turkey breast, so it's technically really lean. You won't get that much juice come out, but you still get a good amount. So you want to kind of let that just move a little bit, let it marinate a little bit. All right, so this is about ready to come off. I'm going to go ahead and transfer this over to my pot here. Okay. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of the oil. Just a tiny bit of the oil, about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to go ahead and add my aromatics. Now, aromatics are usually going to be your allium vegetables, they're going to be your celery, your onions, your garlic. I'm going to add my celery first. And again, aromatics because they bring out a good amount of aroma so they can layer that flavor. As you can see, I'm leaving some of those juices from the turkey that was cooking up in there earlier, which is great. It's just what I want to do. And I want to get these aromatics to sweat more than anything else. Get them to bring their juices out. And they're going to be slightly translucent. I love that. You can really smell the aroma coming out of there. And what I want to do is make sure that heat is medium. You don't want to get it too high. I'm going to add the onions, the green onions, in last. And then I'm going to add the garlic a little bit later. And the reason I want to do that is because garlic browns really fast. It also really releases a good amount of juice in there. So because we have turkey white or turkey breast, ground turkey breast, we have a little bit less flavor. It's a little drier. So these aromatics are going to draw out that flavor, which is exactly what we want. And that's really the key to cooking healthier, is to learn how to layer in those flavors. So I just threw in the minced garlic, and garlic really starts bringing out the flavors. Garlic, onions, leeks, celery. These are all, again, allium vegetables, and allium vegetables have antioxidant qualities that are anti-inflammatory. They help, for example, dilate blood vessels, so you have improved circulation. So you don't want to cook them too much, but they're also the aromatics. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw in a little bit of stock. Get some of that stock flowing in just a little bit to just moisten the pot a little bit, not sticking it all in just yet. Letting, again, the concept of layering flavors. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add the turkey back in. I'm going to mix that back in. All right, good. Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and then add the rest of the stock. Excellent. And now, mix it up just a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and add my spices. Ground cumin. I'm going to add that delicious spice. Oh, it's going to make it nice and spicy, give it a little kick. I'm going to go ahead and add oregano. And oregano is also an herb. And again, I am creating a situation where I'm layering as much flavors as I can. So tomatoes, of course, Very, very important as a base. They're going to give you that nice color to your food. It's also going to give it that richness. And tomatoes have a phytonutrient. It's really healthy for guys. It's called lycopene. You know, they studied it a lot and they thought it was going to be really, really good for prostate cancer. And in reality, it's excellent for prostate cancer. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the kidney beans or the chili beans. Excellent, that I've drained. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let this simmer for about 30 minutes to about 45. Believe it or not, the longer the better. But of course, if you're cooking it that night, 30 to 45 minutes is okay. What I like to do is cook some of this the night before on Sunday, especially on Super Bowl Sunday or maybe on a Sunday football game, and then cook them up, but then have leftovers the rest of the week. And the good thing about this chili is actually the longer it stays in your refrigerator, even cold, it continues to marinate. So the flavors just get more and more intense. So this is one of the benefits. All right, we're going to go ahead and let that cook for a little while. I'm going to go ahead and cover it just lightly, and then we'll come back to that in a minute. All right, so I've got my chili off to the side and letting that simmer for a little while. What I want to start on next is the Brussels sprouts. Now, you don't want to boil the Brussels sprouts. If you boil the Brussels sprouts, all of that delicious flavor will go out into the water. So you want to do is, for this, want to get a nice pan, nice and hot with some oil. And one of the keys to a hot pan is when you see the oil simmer a little bit, or not necessarily smoke, but just before the smoke, go ahead and add those Brussels sprouts. You can hear that popping and crackling. That's good. You're going to bring down the heat a little bit now. And I'm going to go ahead and just mix that in a little bit. And I'm just going to really let them sit for a little while. The Brussels sprouts alone really don't need that much. You can add just a little salt and pepper and that's enough. But I like to add a delicious prosciutto. And the prosciutto, even though it's fat, it's a little bit leaner than, say, bacon. Okay? So adding the prosciutto that I chopped up here, I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle this over a little bit like this. All right, you can start seeing that delicious browning on the Brussels sprouts. Smell that browning? It's excellent. Smells fantastic. So the other thing I'm going to add to this is going to be an apple. And I'm going to chop up an apple. I'm going to put the apple into it. The apple is going to give it the extra caramelization. So it's going to give that sweetness. So getting that, oh, listen to that sound. I love that sound. Great little caramelization. Got those apples in there. Good. There we go. So we got that going. Again, you want to try this throughout a little bit. See if that prosciutto is giving it enough saltiness. Think about it. It's layering flavors again. We've got the caramelization or the browning of the Brussels sprout. That's pulling the sugar from the vegetable on the outside of the vegetable. The oil is going to caramelize it, so it's going to give it that fat, oily sweetness. We're adding some prosciutto. It's going to give that saltiness and smoky, umami or meaty flavor. Then we're throwing in the apple. I also like, I don't know if you've noticed this, I also like using an iron skillet. To me, an iron skillet really brings out some flavors. Now you want to keep in mind that the apples are also going to caramelize a little bit. They're starting to sweat. They're going to kind of break down almost into a sauce. So this is where I know I'm going to start adding my garlic. I love adding garlic. You want to always add, for something like this, garlic at the end. And garlic is going to add another layer of flavor. This is great. Okay, looking good. Got that nice caramelization. All right, so we're going to go ahead and let this sit for a little bit. I'm going to let it brown just a little bit longer, not much. It's almost done, and I'm going to go ahead and then get started on that butternut squash mash. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and get started on the mashed butternut squash. And the way I'm going to do this is butternut squash is essentially a big, meaty kind of vegetable. And it's got a good enough tough layer, but this is pretty easy to peel. You get your peeler, and it pretty much peels like a potato. Cut it up, chop it into cubes, and you get a nice, beautiful cut like that. I like adding butternut squash or pumpkin or sweet potato to a mash because it gives it a lot more vitamin A. It's great for your skin, great for your eyes, also very important for cellular function. So I've got it all cubed up like this and it's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put it into my boiling water, or get my water to boil. Throw that in. Okay. And I've got some regular potatoes. You can get Idaho potatoes or red potatoes, some nice simple potatoes. The other thing too about this recipe is that it's high in potassium. And potassium is really, really good for blood pressure. It's one of those things that counteracts the excess amount of sodium. So having a good amount of potassium is very important. Potatoes are the starchy vegetable that has, or I should say in the American diet, in most diets, it's going to have most of your potassium. One potato is going to have almost as much as 3 times the amount of potassium that a banana has. So potatoes are very important for potassium, but of course they're starchy, so they're going to be hardy, they're going to keep a little bit longer, and we're going to go ahead and add this to the recipe as well. Nice, delicious potatoes. Now, if you want, you could add a little salt to this. You don't really have to. It's very simple just to get it stirred up, and all you really have to do is let this boil and get it nice and soft, and then we're going to come back and smash it up. All right, so we transferred the potatoes and squash into a bowl, leaving a little bit of that water. You need that water to help get a good mash going. I'm going to go ahead and start the heat up on this first. Let it heat up, dry up a little bit of that water so when I mix the oil and the water I don't get some good fireworks going. It's heating up pretty good. And take some olive oil, add that in. About 2 tablespoons or a tablespoon. And again, with olive oil you want to get it translucent right before smoking. You don't want to add too much. Make sure the heat is not high. You got a medium heat. You take some garlic, throw that in. Just 1 clove. You don't need more than that. Again, you can smell the aroma of garlic. Again, using that, really, really important. All right, so I'm going to get that cooked up a little bit. It's nice and soft. And look, I mean, I don't even have to get my masher, and the butternut squash just falls apart. So masher is more for the potatoes more than anything else. So we're going to get that masher going. Take the heat down. We don't want that much heat. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get that mash going. Smash that up. Smash that up. Really simple. I don't know about you, but I like a mash that's got a little bite to it. Go ahead and add cream. Now, I know cream is not the healthiest here, but cream and potatoes is such an important part. You do want your potatoes creamy, but I'm not adding butter to this, and butter is usually another recipe item. So I want to be conscious of how much saturated fat I have in food. By not adding butter, you're really getting it down a little bit, and that's important. Now, you could add, of course, a little bit more at the end, and that's one of the things about cooking is, especially with something like a cream or a butter, you could also add that at an end, maybe as a topping, and that's one of the things that you can definitely do with the mash. I'm going to go ahead and add my salt. I like to use a nice coarse salt for this. Go ahead and also add the pepper. Pepper is up to you. I like to use a fine cracked pepper, and this could be added right at the end, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just adding it right at the end and mixing it up. So I'm going to go ahead and plate this up in just a little bit and get that going for the rest of our dish. All right, so we've got it all plated up. We've got the turkey chili, the mashed butternut squash, and the Brussels sprouts. Great combination. A lot of the seasonal vegetables, a lot of the seasonal food for this time of year. We've got a very low-fat protein source. We've got a starch, and we've got our vegetables. But generally speaking, you also have your vegetables on the side. So we're out of time for today, but I want to thank you so much for joining us here at the Ingles Table. Remember, you can find this recipe, videos, photos, and more on the website at ingles-markets.com. Until next time, I'll see you online.